Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AJSN Average Joe Sports Podcast. With you, as always, is me, Stu.
And Cy.
And unfortunately, Wetzel just so happens to have a really bad stomach flu, so he will not be joining us this week. Hopefully, he'll be with us next week.
He's just making up excuses to miss the podcast at this point.
Nah, this was
he's
legitimate.
Yeah, I know. He's legitimately sick. We're all rooting for you, buddy. Get well soon, dude.
Yeah, he'll be back. He always comes back. So, I think our first order of business is if I have a sound going on. There's a video playing in my browser going in my headphones. Ugh. But first talking point, the Super Bowl.
How super was it? Not very.
What happened here? So the conference championship game set up that, these are four teams that don't play defense. This is offense, and they're going to be shootouts. And to an extent, both games kind of were. Not, the most high-scoring shootouts, but numbers still got up there. They were still entertaining and came down to the end. This game kind of came down to the end, but that's because it was 3-3 for over half the game.
It was like 3-0 at halftime.
It was. There was absolutely no offense here when you have Jared Goff with two great receivers and the best running back in the league. Do what?
Did you say Derek Goff?
No, I'm pretty sure I said Jared. The Galleria of Jewelry.
Dear Lord. I thought you said Derek for a second. Anyway, cut that out.
Maybe I did.
Cut that out in post.
And then you have Todd Gurley, who was, didn't win the MVP, but he was a candidate. Only had 17 rushing TDs and was an absolute beast. And CJ Anderson, who I've bragged about on this podcast because he was just such a great story. He was playing so well, arguably on the same level, if not better than Gurley. Gurley only had 10 carries. Anderson had 7 carries. Neither of them cracked 40 yards, and they both averaged just above 3 yards per carry. Meanwhile, the Patriots with Sony Michel had 18 carries, 94 yards, 5 yards a carry, and a touchdown.
That's fairly solid numbers, but when you're on the biggest stage in the NFL, possibly the biggest stage in American sports,
I would say that.
I would say that for sure. You would expect numbers to be high. Like last year, Tom Brady threw for over 500 yards and broke an NFL record, and maybe we've been jaded with the past two Super Bowls being some of the most stellar Super Bowls in recent memory. With
yes, sir.
With the 28-3 blown lead, and then Philadelphia winning despite a valiant effort from Tom Brady. This game really was just not good.
I mean, you and I, we went over to the house, for the game. We're surrounded by all of our friends and fraternity brothers. We're all expecting to have a great time, eat wings, and cheer loud. Literally, it got to a point where we were petty cheering. I say petty, we would go crazy if the Rams made a first down. Because we're just yes, one step closer, they might actually do something. And when you go ahead.
They only cross the 50 twice during that entire game.
Well, that's still 2 more times than LSU did in the national championship.
That was years ago. That national championship game should have never happened to begin with. Okay.
Yeah, I watched that live, man. I saw that dumpster fire happen live.
Yeah, I watched too. It should have still never happened like that, but.
But I mean, you bring up a point, only crossed the 50 maybe twice, when they even sniffed the red zone. Receivers dropped passes, and of course, Goff threw that costly interception. The reason the Patriots won this game was because they were able to move the ball. Brady only had to make a few key passes when it mattered, and he did, and then he had Michel do the rest.
Right. They were able to move the ball when it mattered, but they were also able to stop a fairly good Los Angeles Rams team defensively, which I think was the star of the game. Patriots defense played absolutely brilliantly.
Oh yeah, I would argue that both defense played very valiantly,
Yeah, I'd say
and
so.
they say defense wins championships, and that's absolutely true. There was really only, I would say, one defensive play that mattered in last year's Super Bowl, and that was the Brandon Graham strip and the Derek Barnett recovery. That was the only, speck of defense in that game. But hey, that was all. That was all anybody needed because neither side was was giving up an inch offensively. But here's the thing: defense wins championships, but you need your offense to show up in some semblance. Why do you think the Bears didn't win Super Bowl 41? They had Rex Grossman as their quarterback, man. Then again, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, so I don't know.
So, yeah, you can't blame it all on one player, though. I get quarterback's the most
Well, yeah,
important
no,
position, but,
no, it's not entirely Goff's fault. I mean, I don't want to put the blame on the running backs. I don't think they got enough touches.
The whole offense for them, played poorly.
Yeah.
If we're going to be entirely serious, that offense just was not, playing well at all.
But I think
and that goes for everyone. Down
mean,
from the quarterbacks to running backs to not producing to wide receivers. I mean, it's everyone.
I still think that Anderson and Gurley should have been fed the ball more because Michelle was fed the ball 18 times and he made something out of that.
Right, but you said that they were averaging over 3 yards a carry on what they were given.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I just think they needed more touches, to be honest.
I agree. I've watched the Rams a little bit this season, and they've had a very strong running game for the most part of the season, and they didn't utilize that at all during this game.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally in this podcast and just in person when you and I would meet up, I talk about C.J. Anderson because he was having a great playoff run. It was inspiring. He goes from not having a job until week 16 and now he's rushing for over 100 yards and finding the end zone, in one of football's biggest stages. But then they get to football's biggest stage, the Super Bowl. He only gets 7 touches. Michelle had a great game because he was fed the ball. Now could Gurley and Anderson have done more with their touches? Maybe so. As you said, and as I said, only about 3 yards per carry, but I think they needed more touches, especially later in the game when the defense is withered down. Are you still with me?
Yeah. I think he pretty much summarized everything that needed to be said, though. I mean, they pretty much didn't utilize the carries that they were given, and I think it was weird, though. Like I said, it's not the game they're used to running. So it was just...
What do you mean by that?
Because like I said, they're normally a fairly run-heavy team. I get they pass the ball a good bit, but when you got a running back there like Todd Gurley, you're going to run him a lot.
Yeah.
Like you said, he had, 17 touchdowns? He was an MVP candidate. Exactly my point.
And then C.J. Anderson
you utilize your MVP candidate. And they didn't utilize in that game. They only gave him 10 carries. It kind of reminds me of the Titans a little bit and how Derrick Henry got really hot towards the end of the season, but he could have been really hot towards the middle of the season if they just given him more carries. And I feel like the same situation kind of blew up in the Rams' face in this game. And whether you weather that down to, them having a fairly young team and a young coaching staff in general, or just poor game management, I mean, at the end of the day, they still lost and deserved to lose.
Yeah, man. And I mean, you know what? I'm gonna give some honest to God credit to Tom Brady. This wasn't his best game by a long shot, but you know what? He moved the ball when it mattered. He found his best target Edelman. Edelman had 140 yards on 10 receptions. He was the other key factor to that game. No touchdowns, but it was obvious that Brady to Edelman was moving the ball, and as we said, that's really why the Patriots won, because they were able to move the ball when it mattered.
And see, I think that's another thing that comes with Tom Brady's experience, though, is that he was able to realize that, he's not going to have to be able to play his normal game to win this one. He just sat back, played a bit more of a game management role because he was trying to feed off of what the defense was giving him, and he made the most of it. And the Patriots ended up with their 6th Super Bowl.
And you're right, they ran a lot of clock in that fourth quarter.
So I guess the question now remains: Patriots the greatest dynasty of all time in the NFL?
I mean, you know what? For a team, to be consistently good, and not so much now, but like especially back then in the early days, it felt there were a lot of moving pieces, and like Brady didn't win a Super Bowl when he had arguably one of his best receiver in Randy Moss.
He didn't win the Super Bowl with the best team he fielded.
Yeah, the team that went 16-0 didn't win a Super Bowl with that, but he's winning Super Bowls with guys like with guys like Edelman and Chris Hogan, guys who I'm pretty sure I know for Hogan especially because he played lacrosse, were just kind of not seen as big talents, and all of a sudden they're some of the main some of like Brady's main receivers, and like there is a story about how Julian Edelman had like aspirations of playing football, and his teacher was all like, you're never gonna achieve that, and his teacher literally wrote a letter to Julian, like going back on his words. As far as I'm, Julian Edelman's no Randy Moss, not some generational, talent. He's a good athlete, no doubt, but it's like Brady is winning and has won Super Bowls with guys who are good, but aren't as high caliber, aren't like as high caliber players like as he's had. That was a really bad way of putting it, but you see my point. He's never had the most talent, but he's won.
But he's able to will his teams to win despite what they may lack in general athleticism and general ability. And now he's had some fairly good defensive players. There's no one
like Ty Law.
There's no one who will say that Dante Hightower is a bad linebacker. If somebody were to come at me and say that, they're just wrong. But he's had some pretty decent talent, but like not players you would think were world beaters. Like I saw this post somewhere where somebody was comparing Julian Edelman to Wes Welker, which first off, no, that's not even a fair comparison. Welker was miles better.
Where is he now? Is he dead?
No. Nah, he's retired, dude.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Man, I've lost my complete track. But yeah, I think that's something about Brady's character that that some quarterbacks just don't have. Some people don't have that. Brady's a true leader, and he's able to get the best out of his players. And you could say that it's partially on Belichick too, because Belichick is one of the best coaching minds in the game for sure.
No doubt. Look at where he came from. He came from Cleveland. I get Cleveland in like late 80s, early 90s, one of the worst thing in the world, but came as an assistant coach from Cleveland and has worked his way up to arguably one of the best dynasties in all sports.
This isn't even like his first 6 Super Bowls. He won Super Bowls doing coordinated work with the New York Giants.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then everybody was really shocked when he dropped the Jets job in the spur of a moment to go to New England, but
oh my god,
obviously he's paid dividends.
Well, I'm pretty sure the people in New York are still feeling the pain of that.
They're Jets fans. They're used to it by this point. So
But to answer your point, I'm a Tom Brady hater because I'm an Eagles fan, and '04 for a while felt like our only like legitimate shot. Because we finally won an NFC championship. We have Donovan McNabb and T.O., before we hated T.O. Brian Dawkins heading up the defense. I think we might have still had Javon Curse, the freak at that point. If not, well, I'm stupid. I didn't start following the Eagles 2008.
did
And
you
he
wait?
played,
Javon Curse?
yeah, the freak. He
You
played
mean
for the Eagles.
Titans legend Javon Curse?
Yeah, the freak. But
Yeah,
anyway,
he's a Titan, not an Eagle. Get out of here.
but anyway, you know, and you know what? I'm still kind of salty about that. Not gonna lie, I'm a salty Philadelphia fan. So you obviously see my bias towards Brady, but the amount.
At,
His
at
rings,
the,
the rings speak for themselves, man.
right. At this point, with how much success he's gotten out of the Patriots, right? He's killed off an entire division. Since 2002, there's
All right,
been one instance where
all
the
right,
Patriots
all right.
didn't win the AFC East. And the
That was when they
Patriots,
had Matt Castle and they still went 11-5.
yeah. See, Brady was hurt, and they went 11-5.
Matt freaking Castle.
The Dolphins won an 11-5 that year, and they only won based off of their divisional record.
And that was Super Bowl 43. That was when the Steelers won that great game.
Don't talk about it, okay?
But
Cardinals fans deal with enough, dude.
You know what? Some people are gonna say, oh, Brady's been so lucky. That first Super Bowl, he had Adam Vinatieri. Super Bowl 49, Pete Carroll forgot how to run the football. Super Bowl 51, the Falcons offense couldn't do anything.
But at the end of the day, he has 6 rings. And that's all you really need. He has the trophies. He has the stats. He's one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in NFL history. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. If you cannot say that he is at least that, you don't have to like him, but you have to respect all he's done for the game.
And you know what? I would always argue that, Joe Montana is the better quarterback. But you know what?
No.
Brady has had more success than Joe Montana, and as we discussed, at points did not have that talent that Montana had. I would say Tom Brady only had a Jerry Rice-esque figure
with Randy
one
Moss.
time with Randy, and they lost to Eli.
That was for like 2 seasons.
Yeah, and they lost to Eli because Asante Samuel couldn't haul in the ball, and some guy named David Tyree just so happened to be playing at that point in time. And Plaxico, but he shot himself about 2 years later.
You're right.
And just this is coming from just a salty Eagles fan. I would definitely say now Brady is one of the greatest of all time. And you know what?
Easily.
I know he won this, by a score of 13-3. But you know what? It just be like that. Sometimes you just gotta win ugly. And it was an ugly Super Bowl, but Brady has 6. He's done amazing things for a Patriots franchise that, let's be real, used to suck hard.
Yeah.
Like their greatest quarterback, I think, for the longest time was Doug Flutie, and this is like end of the career, not even starting, even though he's still good enough, Doug Flutie.
Right. Fresh out of Canadian Football League, Doug Flutie.
Oh, man.
Long story short about the Super Bowl, Maroon 5 was the highlight. Everything else was lowlights.
And they did SpongeBob so dirty.
I mean, let's be real here. He still made it. I was fairly okay with it. Now, Reddit, on the other hand, was not, but I expect Reddit to overreact about everything.
Well, hey, credit to the Dallas Stars for not only putting in the effort and making Sweet Victory, their halftime thing for one game, but getting live shots, at least I'm pretty sure they were live, shots of the crowd during the parts in the SpongeBob episode where they get crowd reactions.
You know that wasn't the first time they've done that, by the way?
That wasn't?
No, their media team, as much as I don't like the Dallas Stars being a Preds fan,
Media Team Savage.
their media team is amazingly good at what they do. And fair props to them for taking advantage of the situation. They did it the night after as well
Yeah.
when they played Arizona.
Well, I mean, you talk about good media teams. Why do you think I love Gritty so much? Whoever runs that Twitter is a genius.
What do you mean? Gritty runs his own Twitter.
Well, then Gritty's a genius. A googly-eyed, crackhead cousin of Oscar the Grouch.
Same reason I love Nash, dude. Nash is a pure savage on Twitter. Anytime people talk trash about the Preds, Nash is on them, dude.
Well, I just love that like Gritty and Nash have like a little rivalry going on for like best mascot in hockey.
It's all in good fun, though. They're both.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, you showed me that video of Gritty trying to train for doing the Rocky montage.
Nash doing the Rocky montage to fight Gritty.
Yeah, well then Gritty gets to the art museum steps, and the Nash is there and just pummels the crap out of him. That was great.
Like I said, long story short, the NHL is the fun league. So, sometimes it can be. You got a lot of naysayers who will be like, "You're disrespecting."
Oh no, hockey's great to watch. It really is.
It really is. But the biggest problem is especially when it comes to personalities with the league and everything. You got a lot of. It's a very traditional sport. It's got a lot of backstory. It's got great legends and whatnot.
Sure.
And when people try to show the slightest of personality, it's like they're offending the game or something. I don't know. Old people have ruined hockey personalities. Like PK Subban gets a lot of flack for doing some of the fun stuff that he does, and he's just trying to have fun playing hockey.
No, dude, the LA Kings literally had Snoop Dogg come and broadcast the game.
Yeah, Speaking of which, right? Bailey, the LA Kings mascot, also another great Twitter. Also another great Twitter account, dude. Like I said, NHL mascots are great.
Literally, I showed you. Gritty made these pictures where he essentially puts his face in all of these pop culture posters. One where it's the Lion King and his face is the sky. One where he's in Saved by the Bell. Even one where he's in the Titanic poster. The Lion King one has been my background since Christmas.
Nash has a lot of clout. We get a lot of country music celebrities coming to hockey games there.
Well, yeah, because you're in freaking Nashville.
Well, yeah, we take full advantage of it.
And you know what? You should.
It also really helps. Right. It also really helps that our former captain is married to Carrie Underwood. So
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, for real.
But anyway,
I love Captain Mike, dude.
We got way off track talking about how savage hockey is. Long story short, the Super Bowl sucked. So before we move on to the other football, I want to bring up something that makes the NFL truly the no fun league. This wasn't something done by the NFL, but it was done by an NFL team. The Kansas City Chiefs told Patrick Mahomes he can't play pickup basketball anymore. A viral video surfaced of Mahomes putting the moves on everybody.
Dude, I actually saw that. He was pretty decent.
Yeah, no, but it's so the Chiefs were told him hey, you can't play pickup basketball anymore. Apparently he agreed.
I understand it though. He's probably really reluctant to agree. It's understandable in the sense that 50 touchdown quarterback. He just won MVP. You're gonna
generational talent.
You don't want him getting hurt in the offseason and not having time to train. And I get that, but at the same time,
I see that side too. But let the man hoop.
It was just pickup basketball.
Just if the man wants to hoop,
it's not like he's trying to be Bo Jackson. I mean,
well, no, because Bo's downfall.
Yeah, see, the Seahawks let Russell Wilson play spring training with MLB teams. He's playing for the Yankees in spring training now? Yeah.
Several quarterbacks in
I
the
don't
NFL
see
have done that.
Yeah, I don't see what the Chiefs' problem is at this point.
I mean, Dion played 2 professional sports. Bo played professional sports. Now, Bo's downfall, and this wasn't really, there's no way you can predict this.
It's the hip injury, dude.
Yeah.
He doesn't injure his hip. The dude's a monster.
Yeah, doesn't injure that, and then he's still doing, like the 2 sports. But I mean, I say his downfall, but it's like I'm not saying his downfall was because he played 2 sports. No, because he played 2 sports because he was freaking great at both
of them. I mean, how many athletes can you say made the All-Star for
like
both?
him and Dion and
MLB, and then goes and makes the Pro Bowl.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure there were a few
NFL.
minor league baseball players who played in the XFL back in the day.
But were they good enough to play in the MLB All-Star game in the NFL Pro Bowl? No, Bo Jackson did.
Jackson. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Mal Mahomes can't, play pickup basketball. He's still gonna do it. He's gonna
he's gonna do it.
He's gonna get a crap load of money. He's gonna do what LeBron did and just build a giant gym in his house. And when there's
build a whole school.
Yeah, and when there's no and since there won't be any cameras, he'll invite
his buddies over and hoop.
He'll invite his freaking teammates over. He'll invite whoever the backup quarterback is, and no, it's not like the backup quarterback will be like the snitch and like rat Mahomes out. They're like buddy. It's like, hey, I don't, you don't go to the press about this. We're all good. That'd be the relationship they would have. But eventually there'd be a falling out, and then word would get out.
Teammates don't snitch on each other. Only D'Angelo Russell. Only D'Angelo Russell does that stuff. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that was amazing. I was in high school, and my old English teacher was a Lakers fan. He was not happy for a few weeks.
Wow, that was actually really great.
But anyway,
football is I saw a lot of tweets about football being over.
Son.
Pretty much every reply was like,
"What about the AAF?
What about the AAF?"
Literally, the Memphis Express did that. I forgot who tweeted it, but I think it was a player who said, there's going to be such and such days without football. And the Express replied, I think with like that,
football starts next Saturday.
Yeah. I think they responded with like that thing that's going around where you make like the art with like the dashes or whatever. And it's it's like the teacup.
I know what you're talking about.
Football starts Saturday. So this Saturday, on the Alliance website.
February 9th is
the Alliance website. Crap down on me. But this Saturday on CBS, the San Antonio Commanders will take on the San Diego Fleet, and the Atlanta Legends will take on the Orlando somethings.
The Orlando Apollos.
The Orlando Apollos. And
I can't even dislike them now.
Now the AAF obviously gained. Well, I don't even want to say
you gotta think that this kind of lackluster Super Bowl is doing wonders for their marketing right now.
Well, like, here's the thing about the AAF. It was announced off the heels of it was Charlie Ebersol who created it. It was announced off
son of Dick Ebersol, who helped Vince McMahon run the XFL, and also who was president over NBC for a long time.
Created SNL, so love that man automatically. So it was announced not through a video like McMahon did with the new XFL, but through an ESPN article. That's where I read it. About a week after this was the XFL 30 for 30 dropped.
Right.
And at the end of that documentary, Vince is talking with Dick and being like, I want to get something started up again. And not only that announcement of the AAF also came off the heels of of Vince McMahon re-announcing the XFL. What does AAF do? They come and say, hey, we're going to be playing football in 2019 in the spring. I didn't hear anything much else about it. But then all of a sudden, there's team locations. All of a sudden, there's team names. All the stadiums are picked out, and they're signing players. And you get a lot of like the no-name players that you've never seen before. But then, for Birmingham, you have you have
you
what's
have
his
people
face from
like
Alabama,
you have people like Trent Richardson.
Trent Richardson,
You
Chris
got
Davis.
you got Chris Davis from Auburn. You got Nick Novak, who's one of the NFL's best kickers for a good while with the St. Louis Rams when they were in St. Louis. There's significant talent on these rosters.
Yeah, they had Brandon Silvers for a while. They have one of he's on Memphis now.
Yeah.
But they had
we have one current Troy Trojan on the roster for the Birmingham Iron.
Or like I'm looking at the San Antonio Commanders, and by the way, their jerseys look sick. Greg Ward Jr. is a wide receiver. He was on the Eagles practice squad for a while. I know that Zach Mettenberger, he's on the Express.
Can we not talk about Zach Mettenberger, please?
Sorry. Denard Robinson's playing.
Shoelace, baby.
Christian Hackenberg is playing.
Okay.
And then, of course, Josh Johnson was the number 1 pick in the quarterback draft, and he spent a few weeks sucking it up with the Redskins.
But you get these guys who will have something to play for as they're going to try to get back into the league, which is, I think, is the current goal of the AAF, is to try to get guys like that back into the league and try to feed players down from NFL teams onto these teams in the hopes of getting them back up there.
Yeah, and just like, we mention all these recognizable names because that's the thing. You recognize them. These were guys that, you knew well enough, that they played well enough in college that they at least had some shred of talent.
And that's the thing that comes with the rosters. What they tried to do with their the rosters that they currently have, they tried to build from schools relatively close. So like San Antonio feeds in from players from A&M and Texas and Baylor and whatnot. The Birmingham Iron feed in from guys from Alabama, Auburn, South Alabama, Troy, UAB, and whatnot, and then try to feed from the areas around there. And they're also taking players who have come from current NFL teams. They took 4 NFL teams and assigned them to various teams based on division. So we were stuck with the AFC North. So there's a lot of guys on the team who coming from the Browns and the Steelers and whatnot.
Yeah, and you know what? You say they're pulling like players from like local area. I'm seeing a lot of San Diego State guys here on the fleet. And you mentioned, how the Commanders were getting guys from like A&M and stuff. I think we got our quarterback, Luis Perez. I think we might have picked him up from.
We drafted him
Commanders.
out from San Antonio. He went to Texas A&M, won a D2 title while he was. He is poised to get the starting spot from everything I've heard.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard too. But his backup, I can't remember his name. It was
Blake Sims.
Blake Sims. Thank you. I could not remember his name for the life of me. But you know what? I remember Blake Sims.
Bama fans' favorite quarterback. He played 1 year for the team, was absolutely atrocious, and then was never seen again.
Or then you got
he transferred out. Yeah, that's what it was.
Or then you have Aaron Murray playing for Atlanta, and Denard's here too. Denard's listed as a running back.
Yeah,
no shoelace.
He's converted to running back when I think he had his brief stint in the NFL.
Yeah, he played for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Don't say it.
Yeah.
You see, I have a Cowboys Patriots bias. Cy hates everybody in the AFC South.
Yeah, for real. They're all bad.
So we got the two games we mentioned earlier. Oh, do you want to say something?
Nah, you're good. Go ahead.
So we got the two games that we mentioned earlier coming up on Saturday, and then on Sunday.
We will be at the Birmingham Iron Memphis Express game at Legion Field.
At the old Gray Lady. I
You're right. Old and gray is totally the right words.
the last time I was there was 2000.
It's been a while for me. I
It
think
was
I was at
this.
the 2012 BBVA Compass Bowl. That was the last time for me.
I was at, I believe, the 2016 Birmingham Bowl when Auburn played Memphis.
I should have gone to that for real.
That was a good game. That was the last time I was in Legion Field. Legion Field for me.
Everything I've seen from the way the stadium looks right now, it actually looks fairly neat.
Oh
So,
yeah, they released the pictures of what the whole field looks like. You pointed out how the end zones look good.
they are beautiful.
I love the 4 AAF logos, like on I think they're on the 35s.
Right.
And just the Iron Beast smack dab in the middle of the field. That's great.
It's looking nice.
Just I am so glad to see professional football return to Legion Field.
We haven't had a football team in Birmingham professionally since 2001 with the XFL. With the Birmingham Bolts.
But we had a few arena teams though.
Yeah,
from what you told me.
Yeah, the Alabama Steel Dogs were an AF2 team, which was back when the AFL had a developmental league. They were an AF2 team for a little bit. The last time I can think of anything, we had an AF2 team with the Alabama Vipers a few years back.
I remember those guys
in Huntsville. It's been a little bit since the Magic Cities had some magic with football, and
here's the thing: the Bolts sucked.
Well, did you hear it? Did you know that they were originally called the Blast? But
but I saw that today in the SB Nation video.
Yeah,
you watched it too, didn't you?
No, I actually knew this for a good while because
I didn't know that. I watched SB Nation today.
I really overcare about the XFL, but you know how Birmingham's
worst thing.
You know how Birmingham's history is with the Blast, though.
Yeah,
they were like really quick to be like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's because of what happened at the 16th Street, and also because it was it was before 9/11, but still, they had concerns over it sounding terrorist.
No, the concern was literally just because of Birmingham, like really not accepting the name. It was rough. But speaking of the XFL, I don't know if you saw this. XFL
Bob Stoops coming back.
Yeah, XFL in Dallas has just announced their coach will be Bob Stoops, and I'm excited. Stoops is an absolute legend in the coaching game, and for them to pull him out of retirement, I think that shows just a little bit of the drawing power that the league can have. So I'm excited to see what the rest of the 7 coaches are.
But the XFL has me legit concerned. When it was first announced, I was all for it because I'm thinking, all right, they're gonna come back. Maybe they won't last long, but you know what? We're getting some spring football. Maybe Birmingham will get a team. Then the AAF comes along, and they get a team. And the thing with the AAF is that the XFL and the AAF were both set to kick off like a year after announcement. AAF just got straight on it, and all their I love following the teams on social media and whatnot. They've been active. There are people actively trying to push this, and it's gotten some mainstream attention. With the XFL, everything was so rushed, and training camp, like I think all the players had about like 30 days with each other before they even played the first game. AAF got straight to work, did what they were supposed to. Now there's spring football in Birmingham. And the AAF, from what I understand, is trying to target the smaller markets, and the XFL trying to go for bigger. But that still leaves me with this concern. With the AAF already being a lesser form of the NFL mainly in terms of talent, they're going to be fighting the XFL for talent. And what I'm afraid of is that both leagues will run each other into the ground.
Like I said, Ebersol and McMahon had the relationship previous, and they've reconciled since then with a disaster that was the XFL in 2001. But you do bring up a good point that it could end up running both into the ground. But I feel like the AAF is going to have its backing through the NFL, which it was obvious. It's going to have its backing through the NFL because it's already got NFL Network coverage. It's already got, which means it's already being backed by the NFL.
Wait, Cy, repeat what you just said because your mic cut out for a brief moment.
Okay,
on my end.
Very sorry about that. Just edit that out in post. Don't worry.
I probably won't.
You better edit that out in post. Anyway, so, I think it could end up working kind of well, though. They're obviously not competing for the same markets. The XFL, like you said, targeted bigger markets and markets that had just lost teams. They put a team in St. Louis after just losing the Rams. They're putting their teams in markets where they're in big TV markets, which was the goal with the XFL, because they have the name recognition already, and they have Vince McMahon's wildness that will help this league succeed. And they've already got a good plan.
What little recognition, what little weight that recognition carries.
It doesn't have little weight. It's still widely talked about as one of the worst things. People are going to be interested to see, and if it does shot, it'll bring people in. People will be like, "Oh man, the XFL is actually really good." And of course, the AAF has the backing of the NFL. People who
they have the backing of
I said,
former NFL players, man.
No, they're on the NFL Network. They were advertised by the NFL in various games. They got a CBS contract. They have they have TV markets, and obviously Vince just struck a deal with Fox. Fox could be backing the XFL, so it could be.
But you know what? That's
Vince. Things.
Because Vince is very successful businessman. No matter
not even to say that
what he does in the ring, and he knows what he's doing.
No, but Vince is a businessman first, and the same goes for the Ebersols. They're businessmen first. They know how to run their businesses. I assume a merger will happen at some point, if things get desperate enough. But for the time being, it could possibly work out.
Now, a merger would be cool because
it would be like the NFL when it merged with the AFL in 1960.
Yeah, both leagues have 8 teams. Now you have 16 teams, which means you can have...
Which means you could further...
Longer seasons and better football.
Right. Possibly. But you could also, pool it into... how the AAF is pooling players from NFL teams? You could pull more players from 2 teams to each team. So, say the XFL in New York, they could pull players from the Giants and the Jets. And they could try to base it off of who's geographically available.
And actually, one point that you watch your inning tree. When the XFL first announced they were coming back, one of his big ideas during his XFL video was that potentially taking the young players who aren't eligible for the NFL and giving them that professional exposure. So, and what? That was something that the USFL was doing. That was where Marcus Dupree signed his first big contract. Now, of course, Marcus Dupree, best that never was, but at the time when he was signed, he was still seen as this generational talent.
Right. I don't think competition is going to hurt them, but it could possibly lead them to coming together and building something genuinely significant.
Coming in spring 2024, it's the XAF. What does the X stand
No,
for? We don't know.
it doesn't. It never stood for anything.
Yeah, no,
It was
that's
literally
actually
just. It was literally just an acronym, just a
just so,
faux, just like a faux acronym that really meant nothing.
yeah, just so you could have the extra fun league.
Yeah, but the X never stood for anything.
And actually, you know what? I do want to bring up the USFL just a brief moment because that was the last time I think Birmingham had a winning professional football franchise, because they had the Birmingham Americans in the World Football League, which all you need to know about that is that it was a complete disaster. How much of a disaster? During the post game celebration after the Birmingham Americans won the World Bowl,
Yeah,
police were literally raiding their locker room for just stuff because the
because
league
the league went under mid-game.
they went under middle of next season with only half the teams. Teams couldn't even finish. Like one game, a team didn't even run out of injury tape, and they had to get some from a fan. I think there was even instances of fans actually playing. Don't quote me on that. That's just a wild theory. But USFL with the Stallions were pretty good. My dad always tells me if the NFL, if the top four teams from the USFL merged with the NFL, a la the ABA and NBA, at least I think that's how that worked, because I've only ever
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
semi-pro. That says you that the Stallions would have become a professional team. Now, would that have worked? I
Eh,
don't know. The reason that, Birmingham would never get an NFL team is because college football is so popular, people aren't
the
going to have.
market's too small. First off, I know it's one thing to say like, oh, Green Bay has the team though, and they're smaller than Birmingham, but Green Bay's had a team since the 1900s, like way early. Like they were there when the league first started.
What the hell's going on out here? Had to
Like
say that once.
they've been, it's one thing. First off, they're fan owned, so you know, and they have one of the
I like
larger
that.
fan. They have one of the larger fan bases in the league. Now, you bring up the point of college football being as big as it is. That's also another big factor. Why would somebody go to watch a mediocre NFL team with raised prices when they can just go watch a college football team that's consistently in the playoff hunt every year?
And a lot of those people would be students who would probably be getting into those games for free, or at least for a little bit of money. I mean, we get in the games for free because this is Troy
There's
University.
various issues that come into play when trying to bring a team to
Yeah,
Birmingham. First
but
off, I
but that
think
but that's
Legion
always the
Field's
biggest
also an issue.
issue. Well, yeah, we're still gonna be playing home games there, and as you said, that is that field's a piece of crap. It's an old gray lady for a reason.
But luckily, UAB is building a stadium soon, so
Good for them.
it would. But to bring an NFL team here, it would cost us having to build a whole nother stadium, which Birmingham just simply doesn't have the money for. So there's various issues into that, but we can go into that
I
way
think
later.
weren't we
Anyway,
supposed to build a
AAF.
dome at some point?
I believe so, and that just never
But
happened.
anyway, yeah. So
Like I said, it fell through because Birmingham just doesn't have money.
So back to AAF. I talked about this with Cy right before we started. It's an NFL.com article. The AAF will have no kickoffs, will have no PATs, and field goals in.
Okay, my personal opinion on each of the rules. First off, I love the because kickoffs are the most dangerous play in football. Whether people want to realize it or not, concussions happen more frequently on kickoffs. It's a dangerous play for the people on them because there's a lot of random hits. For the people who have to block the people running down the line, they can't see when the ball gets caught, and they're usually the people on the receiving end of getting the most hurt. Secondly, that second rule, there's no point afters. I'm kind of iffy on it. It doesn't really bother me that much, but
you have to go for 2 every time. So it's not a gimme. What I would do what NFL Street 2 did. In NFL Street 2, you can either go for 1 and be 5 yards out or go for 2 and be 10 yards out. Because
that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean
Actually,
it's a risk versus reward, but even if you play it safe, nothing's guaranteed.
now as for the no field goals in overtime, if they're running the NFL overtime system, I already kind of don't like it.
I'm reading right here. In overtime, each team gets a possession from its opponent's 10-yard line. Only touchdowns are allowed, and games will end in ties after
Dang,
one
these
possession
overtimes are
each.
gonna be hectic. It's basically like you're playing with your buddies back in the backyard where it's 4 downs. And
Okay,
you just have to score.
I like the hard 4. In fact, that's how we played overtime. Kind of how we played
Hard
overtime
4, baby.
in middle school football unit and gym.
That's gonna be insane to watch. I'm actually a big fan of that.
No, but it says games will end in ties after possession each.
After what? After how many? Your mic really cut out there.
Let me connect to a hotspot.
Well, you're good now.
That's gonna suck to listen to, but
Okay. So, what was the how many possessions?
1.
What? Okay, I'm already against it. I'm already against it. 1 possession each?
I am not kidding you, my friend.
1 possession each. No,
unless NFL.com's lying to me, man.
Give me hard 4, but just keep going like college rules, because ties are dumb in football.
Exactly. And that's the thing. NFL, everyone's saying NFL needs to adopt something like college. We've even discussed this. I think you're the one who said start on the 40-yard line and go in from there.
Yeah. So that way, if you're stuck at the 40, it's a 57-yard kick. So
which some kickers can actually hit is the
exactly
thing.
exactly my point. I mean, if you want to move to the 35, pretty much every NFL kicker can make that. I'm not a fan of ties in football because,
and especially after 1 possession, man.
1 possession, I get you want to speed up the game. I get people do on a Sunday night. But
look, I will stay for an extra half hour if I can get an epic 5 overtime clash.
Yeah, if you're going hardcore 4 when the game's already kind of sped up as is, you might as well just keep playing until someone wins.
And
you see, college doesn't do ties, and that's why college football's great.
And that's why we got that glorious 7 overtime game between LSU and Texas A&M.
Imagine for example, the Legends and the Fleet going into 7 overtimes, and the score's just
or how about
70 to 69?
Or how about that 4 overtime game in Bill O'Brien's second year, Penn State over a top 10 ranked Michigan team, where Bill Belton ran in the final score.
The first college football overtime game was absolutely insane. Hey,
really? Which game was it?
The very first college football overtime game between Auburn and Georgia back in '96 was absolutely stellar, despite the wrong team winning. But my bias aside,
now
absolutely masterclass.
Now, stupid overtime aside, here's something I do kind of like. It reads here. This article was written by Grant Gordon, and was published today, a few hours ago, actually, and updated a few hours ago. So this is relatively fresh. Uh, in another lofty change to gameplay, as there are no kickoffs or obviously no onside kicks. Instead, teams can opt for onside conversions, in air quotes. What that entails is a team, if it's trailing by 17 or more points with 5 minutes left in the game, can follow a touchdown by trying to convert a 4th and 12 on from its 28-yard line.
Okay, I don't.
That's interesting.
It's interesting, but like 17 or more points, if you're down by 17 or more points with 5 minutes left, you're probably going to lose. There's no point. Like, I would say you would have to, like.
That could work, though.
No, but like, because then if you get the ball back, right, you have to kick it again. And let's say you wasted 2 minutes driving down the field. You got.
No, you drive down the field, and I guess you could ask for them to convert. I don't know. This is a bit unclear.
You can't ask for a kick. So let's say you're down. So say you're down a touchdown with 2 minutes left in the game, right?
Right.
You have to kick the ball now.
You getting a little bit close to the mic there, buddy.
You have to kick the ball.
There we go. Now,
like, you can't onside kick. I get where they're coming from, but it's gonna need a little bit of refining.
And this is their first year, and you know what? The thing with kickoffs is that they're just not fun anymore.
Kickoffs are trash.
It's either going out of the end zone or it's being kneeled. Now, it doesn't say what they do when another team gets the ball. I'm assuming what they're doing is that they start on like the 20 or 25-yard line. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Let me go back to NFL Street. There's no kickoff. Well, NFL Street 3, there were throw-offs, but there's no field goals, no punts. If you score a touchdown, you start, at what would be probably the 20-yard line in, if the field was actual scale. And no, it didn't work. It wasn't that way in NFL Blitz, but yeah, in NFL Street, that's how it worked, and that seems logical enough. If most kicks end in touchbacks anyways, then why bother actually kicking it?
Exactly my point of why I think kickoffs are dumb. But I get, right, you would lose the kickoff return touchdown, right? I get that, right? I get it. It can be an exciting play, but generally kickoff return touchdowns anyway are just you break through one hole and you just run. There's like not that much strategy involved in the kickoff return. So it's already kind of a boring play.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I get it's the first year. They got some stuff to work out. If this doesn't work out, they'll fix it for next year. Because I assume it's the next year.
And you know what? With the effort that they've put in, with all the work they managed to do in a year, probably a year plus, but a year since being announced, with the talent they have, and the people that are here to back it up. Because let's be real, I don't think anybody was backing up the XFL. No one was giving that a chance. AAF has support of actual legendary NFL players and the Ebersol family, of course,
and the NFL.
This has the potential to work, and I think at least for 1 year it'll work. I think it'll get the season 2.
I absolutely think so.
What happens beyond that, I don't
me.
know. But you know what? It'll be great. It'll be great regardless, just to see one season of professional football in Birmingham. I can't wait to go to the inaugural game. And you know what? Tickets, they're not selling out these games that I was expecting to. Tickets got down to $10 for the opening game. We can go to another game.
They're $10 for students anyway. So it's all good.
So Saturday, the 2 initial games of the Alliance of American Football, and then Sunday,
the Iron opener.
The Birmingham Iron opener. I
And the
can't
other
wait.
game.
And the other game.
Anyway,
The
I
other
get
game, for anyone who's curious, are the Salt Lake Stallions and the Arizona Hotshots. And I'm glad Utah has something besides the Jazz, because that's sad.
Yeah, I remember the last time I went to Utah, dude. There was jazz there.
And have you ever seen like basketball where it's like the Lakers move to Los Angeles where there are no lakes. The Jazz
Exactly.
the Jazz move to Utah where there is no music.
The Grizzlies moved to Memphis, where there's no.
The
No,
Oakland
no,
Raiders
they talked
moved
to
to Los
no,
Angeles
nah,
and then back to
no,
Oakland.
no. It was the Oilers moved to Tennessee, where there's
Where there
no.
is no oil. I
Hey,
love that movie.
hey, you know what? I love the Oilers too.
So that's our whole spiel on football. Now it's time to get into
Deadline day.
deadline day. You know, with the NBA, there's games every night. It's kind of hard to really with a podcast that's weekly, talk about, some of all the past games, but
with this,
it's not hard to talk about the trade deadline, especially since it just ended at 3:00 Eastern today.
I guess the first thing, we brought up Anthony Davis last podcast. He didn't get traded.
And another thing, he has said he will play out the rest of the season.
I mean, you might as well, right?
Hey, I respect that. He said outright, I want to be traded, and rightfully so. We had that discussion last week. But the fact that he's still willing to play out his final year as a Pelican, I got mad respect for this dude.
It shows a lot of character. But the only reason he's still in New Orleans right now is because New Orleans is seriously overvaluing him at this point.
And it was confirmed they actually trolled the Lakers. Like they weren't actually going to give them anything. They were just kind of stringing them along.
So wait, you mean the Pelicans literally precedent? They were like, why didn't he go to the Lakers? We were just really gonna mess with him. We tried to get as much out of them as possible, and they weren't buying it.
Don't quote me on that, but that is kind of what happened from what I read.
I mean, I get it, right? I feel like the NBA has been trying to force this narrative of getting Anthony Davis to play with LeBron in Los Angeles, right? But to say that he is worth 4 first-round picks is preposterous, because no player in the NBA currently is worth 4 first-round picks.
Except maybe LeBron.
No, not even LeBron, because he's 34.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's worth 3.
Nah, he's probably worth 2.5. How do you get half a draft pick?
Second round pick. 2.5 first round picks.
Hey, wait
a second round pick.
Wait a minute. Okay. No. I'll get into that later when we get to it. I'll get into that later. That's just wrong. It's still a whole dude.
Do you want me
do
you want me to go into, my territory first?
Go into whatever.
Okay.
Either you bring up whatever, and if you want me to talk, I'll talk.
Okay. So, we'll get to the Grizzlies at one point. I want to start with the Sixers because not only, is that kind of my territory, but because they made arguably, I say arguably, doesn't mean this is fact, arguably made some of the biggest moves of the deadline.
I guess I'll start with so Markelle Fultz, 2017 number 1 overall draft pick. Markelle Fultz is now
with nerve damage in his back.
So the fact that he has nerve damage changes the fact he was the number 1 overall draft pick?
No.
Yeah, then why'd you bring it up?
Because my buddy brings that up to me all the time.
All I said was that he was the number 1 overall draft pick in 2017. And that's it. Anyway, he's moving to Orlando. And I actually really like this deal for Orlando because it's low risk, high reward for them. Because what? No, it really is low risk because if Markelle doesn't work out, they didn't really lose all that much. And he's still on his rookie contract, so they're not paying him all
They
that much.
lost 2 picks, which, as my buddy
But
Seth told me earlier today, was a pick the Sixers gave to the Thunder for Jeremy Grant. The Thunder gave to the Magic, and now the Magic gave that pick back to the Sixers. Circle of life.
Anyway,
Sorry.
it's very high reward though, because Marco Fultz, like I said, number 1 overall draft pick. If he does blossom, Orlando's gonna have something nice down there.
But that's part of the reason we gave him.
But like I said, low risk though. If it doesn't work out, it's not that big of a deal for them.
See, here's the thing with the Sixers. They took a risk on Joel Embiid, drafted him knowing about the injuries, and waited 2 years, and then only got half a season out of him his first full year.
But he played great.
But he played great. We drafted Ben Simmons on a busted foot, took a risk on that, and that's paid dividends. Hopefully he'll shoot his second 3 soon.
So
if not, he's still one of the most dominant young talents in the game right now.
So what if Markelle Fultz just needed to change his scenery, and now he blossoms into an actual talent?
And you know what? Maybe he did. I feel like with Fultz, I felt we could have waited on him too. We took the risk with JoJo, we took the risk with Ben, and they have absolutely blossomed, and the city is much better for it. Why we didn't take that risk with Fultz, I'm not sure, but I think with Elton wanted a return on investment now. He wanted something now. So we got
because y'all are pretty much in win now mode at this point. Even though y'all got a fairly young core, y'all have made some moves that prove that y'all are in win now mode, especially with the likes of the Jimmy Butler trade and one that we'll get into in just a little bit.
Yeah, I'll get into that in a sec, but
like I said, I don't really mind this trade for, because if it doesn't work out, it's not that big of a deal on Orlando's part. I mean, they took a risk on a guy who was a number 1 overall pick that could have blossomed, and they don't really lose that much on salary, so it's all good on them.
And the thing with me is that I'm not sad over losing Fultz. He wasn't, obviously wasn't given as much time as JoJo or as much time as Ben was to, recover and, blossom. But, the fact that he's pretty much been out for, minus a little bit of time, almost all of this year, and that we know we're probably not getting him back till next year, it actually made me mad to see Fultz go from, promising talent to, now he's just gonna disappear for a while. That made me actively mad. And you know what? We got draft pick for Fultz. Hopefully we can draft well. And you know what? We've drafted pretty okay in the past, 5-10 years, even if 75% of those guys are gone. But you know what? We got something for Fultz. I'm not entirely sad he's gone, but part of me does wish we had a chance to see what could have been.
And the second trade coming out of the Sixers camp was their trade with the Los Angeles Clippers, where they received forward Tobias Harris and forward Boban Marjanovic, GOAT. GOAT.
This trade.
And the Sixers paid rookie guard Landry Shamet their 2020 first-round pick and an unprotected 2021 pick versus the Miami Heat. It's only protected if y'all are bad, which y'all won't be. So.
And we also gave up Moose.
Right. Y'all also sent Wilson Chandler, Mike
Moose.
Second-round picks via the Pistons.
And Moose is now a Laker, last I checked. But
did he get waived?
Yeah, he got traded again.
He got traded that quick? He's like, I'm moving to LA.
Dude, they're trading moving to LA
again.
Dude, they're trading people in the middle of games now, okay? Anything's possible.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
But this was a good trade. Now, we gave up most of the bench players.
It really depends.
Well, we gave
Uh,
up we gave up all the bench players that were worth anything.
like I said,
Landry, Moose, good bench players. I like those guys. We
Landry's a rookie. He could have blossomed in
I mean, but we already lost. We lost Bellinelli in the offseason. And obviously we gave up Bobby Covington and Sarge for Jimmy Butler. But we gave up our bench. But we got a shooter. JJ is no longer alone. Tobias shoots almost 50% from three and is averaging over 20 points per game. And let me
now.
also say this. This was coming 2 days. No, not even 2 days. A little over a day after an article came out about Harris, which essentially confirmed that he is where he said, I'm always getting traded, man. And it talked about how he has like these boys and girl clubs type deals in every city he's ever played in. And he said, I'm always getting traded. And then not only that, just a few hours after he hits the game-winning shot for the Clippers in a comeback victory, he's traded to the Sixers. The crazy league.
Like I said, this could be really good, but it really depends. For the time being, it's a great deal. I get y'all paid a lot to get Tobias Harris and
But we got
Boban, especially.
another shooter.
But
and Boban is freaking tall. We got someone to play defense now. Thank Jesus.
But there's one big but here, and
it's mine.
and it comes in the form of if y'all are able.
If we're able to what?
Y'all have to sign him long term, for this to work out for y'all. I mean, if this is supposedly a rental deal, y'all paid a lot for rental, especially.
No. This better not be.
What if this
a rental deal? I will be PO'd.
That's my thing. It doesn't look like it will be, but if it lasts like maybe a year, or like say it lasts the rest of this season and feeds into next season, he plays throughout that, and then he's gone. That's a lot y'all paid for 1 year.
And you know what? You're right.
So it is a very risky deal, but it's a good one to take a risk on if they're able to pay dividends on it immediately.
And you know what? The point you bring up is everyone's now thinking, Sixers are going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're going to win it. They're going to go to the finals. I don't know. I honestly don't know. You never know anything with this city. You don't. We could not even sniff the finals in the next 2 years. And if that happens and all of a sudden Tobias Harris is out, then you're right. That's wasted money. And right now, Elton looks like a genius. If this doesn't work out,
that's a lot y'all wasted.
He gone. Because at that point, he's no genius. He's a pile of goat crap. Specifically, goat.
And, you got anything else to add on to that?
I mean, I hate we had to give up our only good bench players. As I said, our depth, pretty much left this season. And I saw Moose, Mike Muscala, I honestly saw him developing. I think that he, honest to God, had a good jump shot. He could score. He could come off the bench and average over 10 points a game. And he's fun to watch. And you know what? I love when he makes a shot and the fans go, Moose. I love guys like that. And now Moose is gone. And I'm very sad that Moose is gone. But
so,
we did get what's his face? Enos from the Rockets. So we got him.
Ennis. James Ennis, former Memphis Grizzly. Yeah.
James Ennis, Mr. I don't have to jump to dunk, Boban,
Go.
and you're saying that I've never seen this guy play, but I'm already excited.
Nah, he's a great meme. You'll love him.
Well, he literally rode into his game the other night riding like one of those like mini like kid four-wheelers.
Yeah, exactly my point. Dude's a
He was
legend.
a monster on that thing.
Dude's a legend. He's rode into games on like a golf on like a go-kart on several occasions. He's a great dude.
And you know
So
what? I love personalities like that. So that's all I gotta say in Sixers land. But those were arguably some of the, not the, but some of the biggest deals that went on during the trade deadline. Now we
so
go to the other side.
okay. So last night
Buckle your seatbelts, everybody.
no, last night you were talking about players getting traded mid-game. Wesley Matthews, who has been a long time Dallas Maverick, was traded mid-broadcast to the New York Knicks, who waived him, and now he's playing for the Indiana Pacers and to fill the spot left by Oladipo. So not only did he get traded he got traded, waived, and had to sign with another team.
Wow. Who did he sign with?
He signed with the Pacers.
Oh.
But my thing is, like, I get people love their teams, right? But you can't expect guys to be loyal to an organization gonna do stuff like this, do you?
Yeah.
But speaking of being loyal to organization, oh boy, this been a rough go around for old Grizzlies in Memphis. So I want to start with the first trade. I don't want to get into the big one just yet. Today, Memphis traded away Garrett Temple and JaMychal Green to the LA Clippers for Avery Bradley. Garrett Temple, he just signed with us this season, and while he didn't necessarily play the biggest role in the team, he did some fairly good work for us. I enjoyed watching him play this season when I got the chance to, and he definitely played well enough to deserve the starting spot that he got. So I hope he really enjoys it in LA as much as I don't like the Clippers. But J Mike is the one I'm a little more upset about. Now, of course, I'm sorry to cut you off here, but J Mike
I wasn't saying anything.
JaMychal came out of the University of Alabama. So not only did he was he a Grizzly, he was a Grizzly who in my state and made it onto one of my favorite teams. But I've gotten to see him play live. I know just how much he loves playing for the Grizzlies, and it's a rough business, and I'm very upset to see him go. I enjoyed him posterizing people, and even though he wasn't necessarily best power forward, he played a great supporting role behind Zach Randolph. And
yeah, the glory days.
Yeah, and I hope he really enjoys. So
I'm looking at Bleacher Report's grading list of all the trades. For this trade, the Clippers get A+++++, and the Grizzlies get a C.
Yeah, because Avery Bradley's not great, and Garrett Temple's been playing quite well, and JaMychal adds nice depth for their team. It's rough, but I guess Avery Bradley we'll welcome him with open arms the Memphis way, with nothing but love, and we got 3 more players to welcome as well, because
F.
The Toronto Raptors sent over Jonas Valanciunas, Dealine Wright, and CJ Miles in a 2024 second-round pick for star center Marc Gasol.
Could you not have traded them to the Raptors, please? We can't beat the Raptors with just Kawhi.
Don't start this, okay?
I'm sorry.
Now look, I actually really like Jonas Valanciunas, right? I saw a lot of Raptors fans very upset over, and
they were, yeah.
Yeah, because Jonas has been one of their best players for a good little bit. Outside of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, Jonas was option 3 for them for a good while. and I'm very excited to have him here. Dealine Wright, CJ Miles, they'll be welcome too. I don't really know that much about them. I don't really watch Toronto basketball. Don't fault me for that. But Marc Gasol. What can I really say about Marc Gasol that gives him justice? I remember when he first came into the Memphis Grizzlies, right? Second round pick. We had just traded away Pau as part of the deal, and that hurt a little bit. Seeing Pau go, but
you traded away Pau to get his brother Mark.
But I don't think words will ever do what Marc Gasol did for the city of Memphis justice. You go to Memphis International Airport, and you walk right outside the front doors. The first thing you see is a giant Grizzlies poster with Marc Gasol and Mike Conley. And back in the day, it used to be had out there with Zebo and Allen on the poster as well. Mark was meant more to the city of Memphis than basketball. This was a team that had come from Vancouver and never did anything while they were there. They were kicked out after 6 years because they were terrible. And Memphis welcomed them in. They played in the Pyramid for 3 years, and the Pyramid was a dump. Which is why it's now a Bass Pro Shop. And they moved into the beautiful FedEx Forum because the city of Memphis believed in the Grizzlies. And they were terrible. They were not good. They were consistent seasons where they were winning 15 to 20 games.
Sounds like the Sixers.
They were consistently in the top 5 picks every single year. We ended up with Mike Conley.
So were the Sixers.
Who was the start of things to come. Hold on, I just got a message real quick. I got off track for a second. So
that's all right. Craig's still going.
Mike Conley was the first of the change that was to come. And Marc Gasol was just a second-round pick, living in his brother's shadow at the time being, who was a former Memphis Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot of big shoes to fill. To get drafted to a team where he was pretty much destined to fail. Because that's what the Grizzlies had done for their entire history, was fail. But then the change happened. All of a sudden, Conley and Gasol started blossoming beautiful stars. Tony Allen gets brought in. Zach Randolph gets brought in. And all of a sudden, Memphis has something to actually cheer for. They bring in these overlooked, underappreciated players who just want to play basketball for a team that will appreciate.
But it's like an island of misfit toys.
Exactly. And that's exactly what Memphis was. They represented exactly what Memphis is. An often overlooked and underappreciated city and an underappreciated market. The Grizzlies mean so much to the city of Memphis. You can walk around everywhere you go and see people wearing Gasol jerseys, or you'll see a mural of him on one of the walls of one of the buildings, because Mark was one of the 4 pieces, one of those core guys who was there for our glory days. He was there when we were bad, and he took us to the promised land. He won Defensive Player as a Memphis Grizzly. No one was ever supposed to do that from the instant that they moved into Memphis.
But he did.
He took a max contract from the Memphis Grizzlies when he could have easily have gone anywhere else and gotten the. Mike Conley did the same thing as well. For a while, he was the highest paid player, and a lot of people, they didn't really understand why Mike Conley was the highest paid player in the NBA. Because Mike meant more to Memphis than people really understood. The best players? No. Not by the long shot. They were never going to be a LeBron James type player. They were never going to be a Steph Curry. But they meant more to the city of Memphis than words can ever describe. Mark was there during long playoff streaks. That shot in Game 4 in double overtime against San Antonio will ring with me forever. The game winner when we won our final playoff game as a Memphis. as the Memphis Grizzlies for the time being. I remember when he took us to the Western Conference Finals against San Antonio. You know, they were never supposed to do that with Memphis, though. It was always, you would hear, oh, they could easily just be playing somewhere else. Oh, they would easily be sitting bench behind other teams. Because they were overlooked, underappreciated, and never given the respect that they truly deserved. Marc Gasol meant so much to the city of Memphis, and I'm really going to miss him because he's the reason I'm watching basketball. It was never the flashiness of the Miami Heat. It was never seeing the upstart of young Stephen Curry with the Golden State Warriors. It was never watching the big three with Boston when Boston was really good in the late 2000s. It was never Kobe. It was Mike and Mark and the grit and grind Memphis Grizzlies that really made me a fan of what basketball is. So to see my favorite player of all time leave, it really hurts. It's something that I'm going to have to deal with for a little bit. I have his jersey hanging up on my wall for a reason. Because that man meant more to I keep repeating that, but I keep repeating that he meant so much to Memphis, but that's because that's really what it was. He was the city of Memphis embodied into one person. So, with that being said, you know, I want him to win a title in Toronto. I want them to go far. I want them to win the East. I want them to upset the Warriors. If only it means Mark gets a ring out of it. So, yeah. I'm going to have to deal with this for a little bit, but, you know.
Dude, that was...
And it's really, amazing. Like I said, it's really hard to put in words. Unless you...
What do you mean it's hard to put in words? You just went 5 minutes, put it in the words.
But, like, it's still, like, kind of difficult. Unless you were there for... And you saw us rise from the ashes. Absolutely dreadful.
No, dude.
Seeing us go... We had the second longest playoff streak for a long time, but that's because San Antonio kept making the playoffs every year.
Like, this is my first year trying to seriously follow the NBA. All I've ever done is follow the Sixers. And you know what? You know, I know what it's like to have the star players, you know, pulled out from under you, but I've never quite felt that impact the way you have. The worst it was, in my opinion, was when we got rid of Iguodala. That was the beginning of the end for a while. You know, just because we draft him, he becomes the new AI. You know, he's this great talent, and he's playing with, you know, this great team. You know, it's him, Evan Turner, Drew Holiday, Elton Brand, you know, Spencer Hawes. You got Lou Williams coming off the bench. You know, that team made the playoffs. You know, in the lockout shortened season. You know, got all the way to the conference semis, took the Celtics to 7. And you know what? All of those guys were gone within 2 years. And that was when, you know, we start the process and the Sixers are terrible. But I don't think those guys can quite match up, you know, to everything you just said, because those guys didn't take us to a conference finals.
To put it into words though, he didn't play the game on Tuesday. But he wasn't like on the active roster for that game. He came out and sat on the bench with the players because he felt the need to go over and be with them. He walked off the court and the whole stadium gave him a giant standing ovation for minutes.
I mean, rightfully so.
I remember an interview with this little kid where the interviewer asked him, who's his favorite player? And he goes, Marc Gasol. And he asked
Gasol appeared behind him?
No. And the interviewer asked him, what country is Gasol from? And the kid goes, Memphis.
I love it.
I love it. You don't get that anywhere else. Like I said, these guys were more than just basketball players to the team. They represented what made Memphis so special.
They were the city.
They were the embodiment of the city. And in the meantime, Mike Conley was also supposedly up for the trade talks, and we ended up keeping him over this
That's
break.
good.
But they ultimately decided to hold on to him, and Conley even said that, I really don't think I'd ever want to leave.
That's good.
How many
It's good to have that loyalty.
how many players like that would willingly say that they would never want to leave Memphis? One, Michael Conley Jr. So not only does the grit and grind era start with Mike Conley, it also ends with Mike Conley. And I guess for the rest of his time here, his goal is to mentor Jaren Jackson into being our next guy and leading in the new era of basketball. In fact, during the last game before tonight, Marc Gasol got the big send-off and everything. Right after the game, when Conley got there, he was told by one of his teammates that, you're going to be here forever. You got to represent this city. And he says, I don't know, man. 12 years down the line, he looks Jaren Jackson in the eye in their post-game talk, and he says, you're going to be here forever, man. Basketball is so much more than just a sport when it comes to the city of Memphis, because it's all they have. It's their way of showing to the world what makes Memphis truly special. So yeah, this trade hurts, and I'll get over it eventually, but for the time being, it really is what it is.
Trade deadlines, really, in any sport, can be hard because, and I see it in baseball all the time. Often trade deadlines, you'll see, big superstars be dealt. And oftentimes it's hard to see, especially if you root for that team, it's hard to see him go. I remember when Hunter Pence became a Philadelphia Philly, he was taken out of the game in the 6th inning. When he played for the Stros. Taken out of the 6th inning, and he was like, he was in tears from what I remember. And that happens to so many guys. Like, they just know this is it. It's the last time I'm gonna be, in this city. Where a lot of times it's where those guys, found their start. And no matter what the sport, it's sad to see that happen.
It's definitely bittersweet, as you say. We did get some good pieces. I'm very excited to see Jonas Valanciunas for the Grizzlies, but it won't be the same without Gasol, man. It's like I said, the guy is the reason I'm watching basketball, because he's my all-time favorite player. It's gonna be a little bit of an adjustment period for not only me, but for everyone who's a Memphis Grizzly fan.
You know,
On the bright side, we got rid of Shelvin Mack, though. Hey, we did something.
yeah, you do not like that guy for
No,
whatever
dude, he's been holding us back so much this year. Glad for actually rid of him. But looking at our starting lineup now, like it's fairly decent. Valanciunas, Jaren, Mike Conley, Avery Bradley. It's all right. We'll probably win a few extra games out of it, but it's really just the end of an era for the Memphis Grizzlies, man. The first,
you know what?
The first like real era we've actually had.
Well, you know what? The sun sets on one era, but soon the sun will shine on another one.
So what you're saying is Jaren Jackson's winning MVP. You know what? I'm down.
Potentially.
No, let it happen.
But
let me dream. That's all I have.
I mean, other things from the trade deadline, the Clippers are literally winning. Bleacher Report's giving all of their deals A's.
I mean,
Uh,
oh, dude, they traded Muscala for Beasley and Zubat, dude.
Zubat.
They're fleecing everyone. That's disgusting.
Apparently the Kings are actually making some good deals.
Yeah, they just traded Scalabissier for Caleb Swanigan. Both kind of underperforming young players,
uh,
so hopefully
and
change the
they
scenery can help.
they had a three-way trade with the Cavs and the Rockets where they got Alex Burks and a second-round pick. And there's another
Wait,
trade. There's another big trade
wait,
on here.
wait! Did I say that Wesley Matthews got traded mid game? My bad. I meant
Harrison who?
Harrison Barnes, Dallas Mavericks legend, got traded for Justin Jackson and my guy Zach Ray. So the Kings once again pulling some decent moves.
The Chicago
It,
Bulls got
it
Otto
it'll
Porter
be
Jr.
it'll be
from the
weird.
Wizards.
It'll be weird seeing Zach Randolph in a Mavs jersey, just because it
And
ain't Memphis.
there's literally one part on this Bleacher report that says the Lakers do something not related to Anthony Davis. They got Reggie Bullock for Sviatoslav
Mikhailiuk,
Mikhailuke.
Mikhailiuk for Reggie Bullock. Okay, solid.
And
uh,
they gave the Sixers a C plus for the Tobias trade, by the way.
Because, like I said, it depends on if it's.
Yeah.
The Cavaliers got Wade Baldwin.
Good for them.
Yeah, no, it's really not. Wade Baldwin's terrible. We drafted him. I know. So, also speaking of people we drafted, Kyle Lowry apparently doesn't want to ever leave Toronto. Little shame. I'd love to welcome him back to Memphis at some point, but okay.
Well, because he has a chance to be like very successful in
Yeah,
Toronto,
with
immediately.
with DeMar DeRozan and with Kawhi Leonard and Marc Gasol. Yeah, that still feels weird to say. I don't like it.
Well, and want to know something I don't like? We're coming to the end of the show, my friend.
Oh man.
So, do you have a song to sing for us this week?
Give me a song. This has been the Average Show Sports Network podcast. Tune in next time to hear me sing some more songs. But here we go. We're gonna close the show out with another song.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Na 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 na.
The winner takes all. It's the thrill of one. The last one to fall.
Na na na.
We'll never sacrifice
the win. Doom doom.
Don't ever look back on the world closing in.
Beyond the attack
with your
with
wings on the wind.
Oh, the games will
begin. And it's sweet, sweet, sweet victory. Yeah. It's ours for the taking. It's ours for the fight. And it's sweet, sweet, sweet victory. Yeah. And the one who's last to fall.
Do 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 do. All right, we'll see you next week, folks.
I think I way over try hard.